Okay, there are quite a few things you saw from my drawing video that I have eliminated in doing this scene. I eliminated all the stuff on the other side of this dock because I couldn't really see what was going on there. There's clearly a houseboat or something and a few more boats. There's also a ferry, a car ferry up in this corner, which is kind of nice. And then there's another couple of boats over here. I just didn't want to get into too much stuff. The biggest challenge is sort of for any artist to say, okay, so what am I going to focus on? What's catching my eye? And I've decided that you can have the ferry boat be the brightest and certainly in a good spot up in here. You can have that be the brightest white and a shape all by itself, and everything else kind of leads toward it. You could have a boat, one of those sailboats in here be your focal point, and you have to figure out ways to make it your focal point. I'm going to make this boat down here my focal point. I rather like the lines of it, the oars that are a little bit washed out in the photograph, and I'm going to make the hull red or a reddish color rather than blue, because I know I've got plenty of blues everywhere else. So I've made a decision that this is going to be a red boat, and this is going to be my focal point. I'm going to have some of my lightest lights and darkest darks in this area.
You know, Ned, what bothered me about that boat, I have to say, you're going to laugh, but that boat doesn't seem to, I had to make up a rope, doesn't seem to be tied to the dock.
Oh,
not on your picture, on the original, on the photograph.
That could be. Well, it obviously isn't sitting there, by itself without floating away. So I put in a little rope over here, which I guess I don't see, but that's all right. No big deal. And my sketch has a very empty space up in here and a lot of darks in this area. And this is where this boat is going to lead me toward here. So those are some of my thoughts. Now I don't want to be too academic here. I've done a practice painting of what we're about to do, and I used in that practice painting cobalt, burnt sienna, and raw sienna. I got this look.
Wow.
And that's just with 3 colors.
That's gorgeous.
But today I'm just gonna
Can you show it? Can you show it again? Show your picture again?
Well, you're gonna pay attention this time. So cobalt, burnt sienna, and raw sienna. Those are the 3 colors that I use here. So this time, just to make things more interesting for me, and I will tell you, I almost always use ultramarine blue, alizarin, and raw sienna. If you've watched too many of my recordings, you know that I return to that a lot. I'm going to use cerulean blue, alizarin, and aureolin. Cerulean blue is a little bit of an opaque color, but the other 2 are transparent. So, but I wouldn't use cerulean with cadmium because they're both opaque colors. So these combinations are kind of the best practices thing. I did right over here, and I didn't do it. Phthalo blue, cadmium red, and burnt umber. I just didn't happen to have burnt umber, but that's another one you could try. But anyway, so at some point, watch me a little bit, but you're going to use your own red, yellow, and blue. And it doesn't matter whether you use the same color I'm using or just a different blue, red, and yellow. Okay, so where do we start with this? So you paint light to dark in watercolor. You pick the lightest things and paint them first, and then work to your darker tones near the end. So I'm going to paint this dock here is really very, very sunlit. It's almost white, and the dock up here is really light. and the sky is really light. So I'm going to paint those things in first, and then I'll get around to water and boats and a few other things. So, okay, and I'm also, the rowboat seats, the dinghy seats are also sort of the same sort of wood color. Okay, so I'm gonna put a little bit of water just so that when I put my paints on, they'll flow well. I'm sorry to make you watch me paint water because.
Ned, it's Barbara. While you're painting water, for all the lines, all the ropes that are white, are you masking or what are you doing?
I don't own any masks, so I'm not masking. But you're welcome to mask. I'm going to try to paint around the ropes, and if I paint through a rope by mistake, I will. I paint through a rope, then I will lift it out later. You know, I lose a white, I can come back and get it. Okay, so this dock, I'm just, whoops, went right over some of those ropes already. That's all right. Dock.
Did you notice how the posts were aligned in that dock?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Docking around the post, and I'm like, you gotta be kidding.
Okay.
Wetting that not necessarily because you're going to paint it immediately, but you're trying to mute down the pure white. Is that right?
Say that again. I didn't hear.
Well, it's not that you're wetting that like you're about to paint all that, but more like you're muting out the pure white.
I'm going to paint over all this in just a second.
Okay. All right. That's what
I just want the paper to be wet so that I'm not stroking the thing too much.
Okay. That's what I was trying to figure.
Okay. So here we go. Now I'm going to take a medium-sized squirrel hair brush. What am I doing? I'm doing cerulean, alizarin. Don't let me forget. Okay. Oh, I just dipped into the cerulean. That was the dumbest thing I've ever done. Okay. Aureolin and alizarin.
Okay.
Yep. Who's calling?
That was an accident, I think.
Okay. So I'm mixing sort of an orange color here. And I'm just going to throw this on. Going around that rope. Again, it's neither pure red nor pure yellow, but a little bit of both. I want a nice warm, sunlit feeling to this dock. And as the dock goes down into the shadow side of the dock, I'm going to paint that as well. And I can always go back and darken it, but I want to get that warm undertone in here early and even into the water, perhaps. Okay, I leave that little S shape. All right, dip in. I got a good amount of color over here. My biggest worry is that I leave the color too light and too insipid, and then it doesn't look good later on. It's too pale, but I think I'm doing okay. Here we go. And I'm going right through here. Boom, 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 boom. I'm going to try to watch out for some of these ropes. And that piling goes down into the water. So I'm going to continue that down there. This one's going down as well. I will go back and darken them up later. I'm going to sort of go around these ropes here. So I'm dropped right through the pilings, right onto the dock itself. That little strut. This one here. Oops, let's get that line. Nice perspective line. My perspective point goes to a spot almost where the ferry boat is. So I want that line to line up. Okay, how are we doing here? Okay, I'm going to take into the water. In the foreground, you'll notice there's some, I'm just going to, because the reflection of the boat is going to be darker. So this should have been, okay, here we go. More water. I forgot to pre-wet this area. A little bit fat, but you know, it's going to have that yellowish tone where the sand comes through. So I'm ripping through here pretty fast. And I'm going to make a little bit of, there we go. It's just like putting soup down, you know, boom, 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 boom. Get that tone. It sort of gives the, sort of like the sky in one of the paintings last week where we said it was the soul of the painting. I'm going to go in now. I see the wood trim on some of these boats is sort of this same color. Oops, I just messed up. Okay, I think do it. What are we calling this? The mast. Okay, and now I'm going to take a little bit of cerulean in here just so it's not, let's go. Okay, let's see. Glycerin. I mean, I only have 3 colors, so it's red, yellow, and I'm using a little tip of blue, but I just so it's not the exact same color. Come on, blue. And I'm going to make this color go all the way across. I'm going to leave the top of that sail cover white. I'm going to go right through that mass now. That mass eventually will be a darker color anyway. So I'm putting in what is my sky. It's basically kind of a yellowy sky. I didn't pre-wet it because I forgot. I'm going to get a little bit of cerulean. If you can see my palette, I'm going to put a little cerulean across the top here just so that the sky isn't a flat color. And I'll let that tone kind of creep down in. Oh, and I did say I was going to do the rowboat seats. Okay, so we'll do, again, this with this red and yellow. I'm going right through the oars, right across there. I didn't because I forgot. You don't really need to. These are so small. I'm just with 1 or 2 strokes, 1, 2, 3. And again, here's this oar. Here's the, oops. There. Did I get most of my light warm tones? Oh, that's right. I got rid of one of those boats, so I don't have to worry about it. Okay, so I think I'm going to pause there and let you guys do some painting. Yeah, get those warm tones in. We'll come back with blues and other things later. But let's get going. All right, that was about hopefully just 10 minutes, I guess. Yeah, 10 minutes.
You didn't stick any blue in your original yellow and Elizabeth, right?
Not on the docks. No, you could.
To brown it up and darken it.
Yeah. The thing is, you don't want to darken it because right now we're saying it's the lightest thing in our paintings. You don't want to darken it now because then everything else gets darker.
But brown in it.
Yeah, but you gotta kind of resist.
Yes, I do.
You know, you're saying the dock we know is brown wood. Well, really, you know, it's so bleached out here, we wouldn't know it's wood if there weren't lines in it.
Who has birdies singing?
Oh, that's me, Coral. It's like spring here.
So those birds are outside and we can hear them?
Yeah, they're beautiful. I'm enjoying it. Do you want me to delete, turn off the mic?
Oh, no, not at all.
It's pretty cool.
He's outside my window.
Where are you, Carl?
In Pennsylvania.
Oh.
It never
Here in
snows.
Vermont.
Because the birds are chirping over at Lakeside Park.
They were going
Because they came in for a landing and.
They were going crazy yesterday. Up in the pine trees?
Mm-hmm, yep.
Yeah. Chattering away. Remember this, since this is the lightest color, even if you paint over a line or someplace that you didn't mean to put it, your next color is going to be darker and it will just cover it. So you don't really have to be too careful, except if you're trying to go around the lines of the ropes. You don't have to be real careful about, don't get real fussed about keeping within lines.
Hey, Ned, I'm really banking on the fact that these get lighter as they dry, because my dogs look like they're pumpkins. They're orange.
Mine too.
Right. And that's just experience. You start to begin trusting that it'll dry lighter.
It's better pumpkins than yams, though.
Mm-hmm. I haven't done anything. I did a little cerulean just across the top of the sky, just so it wasn't a flat yellow. Oh. Here, you could look at the real thing. There's just a hint across there. While it was still wet, so it didn't.
I didn't realize we'd done the top.
We gotten into the seats and the oars, gotten those things done. A little bit of the foreground. All right, I'm going to start in with some putting some water into the just pure water into the blue areas or the ocean areas. But I'm going to take that water right into some of the darker hulls. So the dark side of the hulls is going to be the same color as my ocean, at least at the beginning. It will darken them up.
It's a great salt.
Uh-huh.
What's this rock? Rock salt.
Oh,
Eating, that's a good thing.
if you remember.
Yeah, I know, it's still relaxing.
Okay, I'm going to go around that this engine here. It's mostly dark. So, okay, now this boat here, I want to keep the top light, but I'm going to put water in. Oh boy, I'm probably going to paint right into these areas in the water behind these piers. All right, now let's just get a little bit more water here. So I'm painting in the bottom half of that zodiac. The top half seems to be catching light, so I'm going to leave that white. But the bottom half, I'm going to tone it with one layer of a blue tone. Okay, here we go. Good. There we go. I'll go down in here. And I think I'll do the back. No, I'm not going to do that. And okay, and this boat here is going to have Okay. All right. So my moderately good sized brush here. I'm going to, well, you know, I've only got one blue, right? So here's my cerulean.
Did you do under the dock too?
I did. Yep. Okay, I'm going to throw this cerulean. Now, if you look at the photograph, see the difference between the sky and the water is quite pronounced. So I don't want this blue to go on too light. Okay, I'm going right across this line here, right here, right under this. Yeah, cerulean is a nice, pretty clean color. Okay, now notice I'm going right into the boat hull, but I'm keeping that side of the hull is light, so I'm going to keep that light. That sail, I'm going right. I'm jumping around that. Okay, here comes some more. Got to reload. I'm going to keep one side of that engine thing on the light side. It's catching a little bit of light now. This boat now is hull is going right up to here, down around my rowboat. I'll deal with that thing later. Around the Zodiac, right down to the dock, up again.
And you know that it's a Zodiac and not an Achilles.
I don't know. Is that the other brand or whatever?
Whatever. But when people refer to it, it's kind of like a Xerox.
Yeah.
Or nylon. It's a generic term. But people have used one or the other no matter what boat they.
Here's where it's a little tricky. I'm trying to go around the boat. There's a little bit of a shadow there. Okay, come on. I don't want anything to dry out too much here. I'm getting some lines. These lines of the water, you always want to make sure they are horizontal. If you make them diagonal, you're going to look like the water's running off the page or something like that. Okay, so what am I'm using cerulean. I'm going to get a little bit of alizarin in here. I'm going to strengthen this blue down here. Gets a little bit more purpley. Okay, here we go. Couple little lines there, and then I'm going to do something a little funny here. I see somewhere in the mid area. I see. Oh, see that calm section of water. I'm going to add a little bit of red and yellow. I'm just going to throw in a line of greenish red just to break up that blue. I'll come back with some more cerulean. Okay, I made some brushwork. Okay, oh yeah, I haven't done this. Here we go. Oh, big mistake here. So I got a little bit of yellow in my brush and I need to keep.
That makes green.
I know. So I didn't do the sky on, I mean the ocean on the other side of the boats.
Oh, yeah. was wondering when you were gonna do that.
Why did you say something?
Because I didn't want to remind you.
Yeah,
Because
well,
I'm struggling so much.
you want to watch me struggle here. What was that? Okay, now I'm going to take this blue. What is that in there? Underneath the dock. And I'm going to use it to do I'm going to darken these pilings in the water. Darken that side of that piling. This side of this one. Darken that. And then the side of these, side of that dock, it's going to have a little bit of there's the blue down under here, blue water. I'm trying to go around some of those rope lines, but I'm not doing a great job.
There's gonna be a difference.
And I'm going to put a few, using my blue, few lines of the dock. And the lines get thinner as they go back. That's possible. There we go.
Which blue did you use?
The cerulean,
Yes, I mean, that's,
it's screened for the cerulean, unless you're gonna do different from the photo.
Screen door.
okay, so I'm sort of stopped there. I blew it by not doing that sky on this side at the same time as the left side. But anyway, I tried to make up for that. Got a little, that's there. Yeah, we're gonna, these pilings down below the dock are dark, so I'm not gonna worry about getting too dark. Oh.
So just to the right.
Hey, Ned, are you gonna paint the lines on the dock in the foreground too?
Oh, that's a good idea. At some point, I guess I will. So it would I look at this scene, I sort of feel like I could put my toes in the water and walk in and a pair of shorts. But the thought on this February day of touching my toes in water fills me with fear.
My daughter's boyfriend goes swimming very often, a few times a week in the Long Island Sound with about 2 or 3 other people.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Right. And then they say it feels so good. I don't believe them.
No, my son takes cold showers now.
Really?
Yep.
All right, I'm ready to move along a little bit now. You'll notice that at about the halfway point, really, we've covered really 75, almost 80% of the paper, and at this point, it's just building up a few more darks here and there. I'm going to get in. I probably should have darkened this hollow down here in the lower right corner, but I just forgot, just like I forgot up there. So I'm going to. And at this point, there's some things I could go to the Zodiac first, and then down here I could go to that little boat, and then here. It sort of doesn't matter. But I've got an awful lot of white down here, so I want to kill it. I want to knock it down. Okay, so I'm going to take my cerulean blue, and oh boy, it's yeah, I'm going to paint the whole inside of this boat, even though parts of it are going to be in shadow. So I will have to go over it again. But it's cerulean blue right along that edge, which I'll see is fairly light. And I'm going to paint the cerulean blue into the shadow side of that oar. And I have some other colors down in here. Oops. When you're using the 3-color palette, you very often will just use pure color. Here I'm using pure cerulean blue. Normally in a landscape painting, I'd never use the color right out of the tube, but here I'm so restricted that I am using just the pure pigment. Okay, there's that. All right, now what am I going to do here? Okay, now I'm going to get into the hull of this boat over here, and I told you I was going to make it red. So I'm going to take my alizarin crimson with a lot of pale color or a lot of water in it, throw it right up here. There's a shadow part of it. I'm going to go around that little float. And let's see. I'm going to take this lighter red and I'm going to go into the water here because the red is reflected down in here. I'm going to do a couple of wiggly lines going around that float. That's the way we learned in another. Okay. Couple lines there. Now, this back edge is a very dark. This back edge is a dark red, so I've got to get. I don't have 2 options: alizarin and the cerulean. I'll try a little bit of the. Here we go. Okay, here we go. There's a dark red, mixing all 3 colors together to make kind of a careful, make a good sharp line here at the edge of the ocean. We're going to go around that rope. All right, here we go. So this is the dark red. And you just darken red by adding a little bit of blue, whatever your tricolor mixture is. Now I'm going to take that same red. I've got to take this down. I want to go right into the water with it, because that's one of the darkest darks here. Come on, more blue. All right, I'm going to go right down in here. You see in the picture how this is a nice irregular line here. This is going to be strong, dark. Come on. More cerulean. Cerulean is it's not covering well for me. And now I'm taking this dark right into the red that I had here. Little irregular marks. I'm taking this red, dark red, right up along the hull, because right at the water line, it's a little bit darker. So I got some pretty strong colors down here. All right, I'm gonna let that sit. And I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. I'm gonna bring this blue, or this rowboat here is in shadow on this side, but then it gets darker in the water. So here's my blue and red, making kind of a purpley. And then while this is still setting up, I can get red. Well, if it's looking green, then add red. Okay. It's looking purple, then add yellow. Okay, here we go. We're going to go down into here.
So the cerulean for the boat had what mixed to it?
Well, I only have two choices. What you mean, inside the boat?
No, the inside.
Yeah, just a little bit of the alizarin, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So here we go with this irregular color right down through here. Good contrast down there. And now I got to go into this. This is almost the same color. I got the dock, the dock, the shadow of the dock. I like to bring these shadow colors down into the water while they're all wet. Here we go. Boom, boom, boom. And then the side of the dock now is, Josh, I'm getting around to doing the lines of the dock. So cool. So I've got this sort of brownish, kind of red and yellow combo for the shadow side of the dock, the edge of those beams, the edge of these beams. And while I've got that color right there, I can take these lines and go right into it. You just do one stroke, just draw it down. Don't hiccup or sneeze while you're doing it. Okay, and I'm putting a little bit that some of these rope lines have a little shadow, so I'm putting that same tone on the shadow sides of these ropes. And now I want to get into this. I've got this last boat. Then I'm going to stop. This boat is that very thin rowboat I could have left out. I bet a lot of you didn't leave it out. And it's dark in here. I'm going to leave the edge of it very light. And I'm about to stop here. How nice is it on a winter day with absolute gray outside to be painting boats using wonderful reds, yellows, and blues. Wow. Okay, I'm going to leave the edges of those boats light. I'm going to put in a little bit of little tone in there. All right, so I've got knocked off that boat. Most of this thing here, I'll need to get some shadows in there, but I'm going to wait.
You forgot to finish that board right above the squiggle S.
Yep, got it. Got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good.
And you're darkening the red with the cerulean.
Yeah, yep. I mean, there are only so many options because you certainly wouldn't darken a red with a yellow. So this is where the 3-color palette is really helpful. And if you're on location, it really eliminates a lot of decision making.
Got a really nice brown there, and I chose the New Gamboge ultramarine and the Windsor or Crimson. And
Yeah,
I'm
the
finding
alizarin.
the alizarin crimson. I'm finding it's hard to get a brown like that. Mine looks orange,
Well,
but how?
Yeah, get that orange and then add a touch of blue to it, and that'll start to make it into a brownish color.
Okay, I'll try that. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Any of these things with just 3 colors, it only takes a little bit of something to change it radically. My problem is if I don't wash out my brush often enough, I end up with some contaminated red still in it, and then I get it into an area that I don't want it. Okay. Okay.
Bumper. Fender.
Right, little white fender in there. All right, now it's, I'm gonna do, let me tell you what I'm gonna do so that if I forget something, you'll remind me. I'm gonna do the shadows inside this boat. I'm gonna do the shadows, that hull needs to get darker. This needs to get darker, that needs to get a little bit darker. So it's the shadow sides of all these boats, the shadow inside there, and I'm probably gonna do the shadow inside here. So it's all the shadow shapes. All right, we'll keep this one. Okay. We'll do a little red, a little bit of blue. And take a line like here. And then I see in the photograph a pretty sharp edge coming down like this. I want to keep the edges of the boat light because the light is hitting it. So here's that. Underneath the, and I gotta make that seat bigger. Underneath this. In fact, I'll take this right across there. And I'm obscured. There's a box in the photograph, but I know that there is a, I did. Yep. I know, and I thought, oh, Judy's gonna freak if she goes to use the toilet. I'm doing this curved shadow underneath the seat, which is, well, it's like a 10.
See, I don't even know the numbers on the brushes.
Well, you can't read the numbers on mine either because they're too old.
Somebody said, Nancy's gonna be like, oh, that's a such and such. I'm like, what?
Mhm.
What are you talking about?
And while I'm using sort of shadow color, I'm going to do the edges of this seat. That's that one. That's that one. I'm going to do a shadow line on the oars. These are together, so I'm going to go. There's that. Got a little markup in here. A little markup in here. Okay, I'm gonna get out of this. Now, I'm gonna get a darker blue inside here. Again, I'm really just using cerulean, maybe a little bit of the alizarin that's kicking around on my table, on my palette. Curl right down along the seat. Keep the edge of the boat light. Good, there's that. How's that look? I'm doing the edge of the oar. And we have a little bit of, I'm going to put dark all through here, except for this little.
Yeah. Challenging the room.
And I am I'm leaving a little bit of white right there. This is where the center board goes. Right in there. Okay, that's that one. I had darkened that up a little bit while you guys were painting. Not fair. While I'm here, I'm going to take a little bit of yellow and red, and blue, and make it a brownish tone. I'm just going to go along here. I'm not going to cover my white. I'm going to indicate that piece of wood that's going across there. I just screwed that up. Okay. Now, what I said I'm going to do, we're going to go inside of the, let's get this. Oh boy. How dark is this against the water? It's pretty strong. This is the shadow side of this catboat. Goes around the rowboat, comes up to a point. That's the end of that one. I'll bring that color down into here. May bring it across, darken that side of the rowboat. There we go. Okay, now the Zodiac needs a little bit of tone in it. There we go. Yeah. I'm gonna have the front part of the Zodiac stay white. I'm gonna put a line there to indicate that it turns. It's in these little panels. Who's that coughing? Oh my gosh. Now I'm gonna take the blue with a little bit of red. I gotta get pretty strong the shadow down here, which we don't see in the photograph because we eliminated that other boat. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. And then we have a shadow underneath. Still painting around these bow lines. There we go. There's the Zodiac out there. And now I just have this boat out here with the hull darker. And then a real dark where it goes into the water. And just maybe a little more pure color. Oh boy.
No.
Now inside the cockpit here, we're going to have a dark. A dark tone. I'm going to have a dark tone running along that cowling. I'm going to take this yellow again. I'm just putting in the shadow sides, the dark sides of this mast. Coming down. There's that. See some water in here. Okay. And the same mast thing going on here. Now, I got this bright white thing going on in here. This is a disaster. So what I need to do is this sail cover, I'm going to make, it's a little bit in shadow. I'm going to have the bottom half of it be kind of a grayish color. And then the boat itself will have a white hull, and maybe hopefully it works out. I don't know. This sail cover up here, yellow and red, darkening it against the sky, keeping a little light edge at the top, even though it's a brown cloth. I'm going to want a little bit of light on it. I might decide that's too much. Maybe I'll just touch it with some yellow, keeping a little bit of sharp edge there. Okay. How's that? Oh, I know. Got this. My motor boat, or the motor on this boat, is at a funny angle. It goes down. It connects with a couple little things like this. Then there's this little thing that they throttle. I want to kind of just know that that's the way those things work. That's a little bit, that's so dark there. Okay. There's that engine. I want to get this a little bit darker in here. How are we doing here? Probably going to lift up the light side of this mast. I'm going to take a little clean water and lift it. And I'm probably going to do it there so the mast is a lighter color than the sky. Got it? That's okay. And now I think these pilings need to be darkened up. And this is probably about some of my last touches here. It's really, this is quite dark in the picture, so bear with me now. I'm going to put this down here. There we go. Going to make some wiggly lines because it's in the ocean, it's in the water. Let's see, it really is dark under here then. Okay, come on, come on, come on. This is what I remember Kathleen Selecki saying last year. Oh, just when I get the color, I run out of it and I have to start again.
This may be a painting no one ever sees. I'm going to spend all day tomorrow doing another one because it came out so bad.
You're not gonna bring it down to your boating friends and say, "Oh, look what I've got for you."
Oh no, nobody's going to see this one, not even my dog.
Kathleen, I got to tell you, you encouraged me though. I was feeling so lost and I looked up and you're shaking your head. I thought, well, I'm not alone.
I keep looking at Ned's picture and then mine and going, oh boy. I got lost in the sketch, I think. Oh my goodness.
Okay, I'm adding a few water
The
lines in
sketch
here.
was by far the best part of it from my standpoint.
All right, what's left?
Oh, totally mine.
Yeah, I think the only thing I'm noodling. I've got a few little marks here where the sails are. These stays, and I may put in some lines with the opaque white shadows and 2 rowboats. I think I got these pretty well. Maybe I'll put a little more dark down in here.
Ned,
So
when you send around your pictures, can you also send around your practice picture? It was so gorgeous.
Okay. Why are you saying this one didn't count out as well?
No, I'm not saying that. My recollection is I was so taken by that.
Yeah. I'll do that. That's fine.
Didn't you use a different color palette for the other?
I did.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that would be helpful to see the
The other
difference.
one, the other one had cobalt blue. This one has cerulean. Cerulean has a little more green in it, so it has a different cast. This I got some blue where I don't want it, so I'm gonna lift it out. That's the corner of that boat. A couple of these lines here on the Zodiac. This is the line that goes. That's that rope.
Didn't you say this is going to be challenging?
There's that rope. Let's see.
Boy, the addition of the shadows makes such a difference, makes everything pop.
The what? The shadows?
The addition of the shadow, yeah. And I like the way you're sort of doing staccato shadows up those lines, those ropes, that makes it, your eye fills it in.
Yeah. I've got a long line here that got lost, so I'm gonna just try to bring it back. I don't want these things to look bright white because remember my focal point was going to be this boat. So the red hull with the very white bleached out. It could be yellow in real life, but it's bleached out. So I think our eye goes there. This right now, this boat up here still looks too bright. So it's jumping my eye up there. So I'm going to take that hull, just tone it down a little bit, but I'll leave that sail. So I like that sail. Take this out. It's too bright. So now it's just a matter of jumping around, like where are things dark where I don't want them to be dark, or light where they don't want them to be dark, light.
And for eliminating color, you're using a flat brush to get the lines and a round brush to...
I'm using the flat brush to erase the lines, like
erase the lines, yeah.
Yeah, that takes them right out. Okay. And then, I'm using I don't have much of a point on this one, but how come okay. I use this maybe on a few lines.
Okay.
Oh, I did a painting during the week using a different red, a different blue, and a different yellow. And I'm going to put this up right now. And this is the way, this is it. So this is with a cobalt blue and I forget what else. Burnt sienna and raw sienna. And then this one was with cerulean blue, aureolin, and alizarin. So and if you're watching now, I'm putting a little bit of white opaque on the edge of a palette knife. You only get one shot at this. So I'm drawing a couple lines from that, the sails or from the mast of that boat. And if I wanted to get some whites back in here, I could probably manipulate it, but I don't think I want to get too much into that.
Can you show us how you applied the white to that palette knife?
Yeah, I can you see it? I just squeezed a little bit of white out, so it's just above the tip, and I've just rubbed it. Just rub the edge of it.
Okay.
And then then on the paper, I just drew a line.
Okay.
Hello.
Hey.
Oh, I forgot I wasn't muted. Sorry.
You're just talking.
Kate's home.
I'm about done. I'm looking at this foreground thinking I should put a little bit of blue down there because it's looks like sand or something. I'll take my big brush, and clean off the palette. I've got to sort of figure out what I did because I don't want to be just, I think I may just tone it down a little because this is too bright. Okay, so I'm just gonna, I'm floating some blue across the bottom here.
Yeah. Just toothbrush thing.
Just to take it down. It's a little bit too bright for me. It makes, there, that could probably do it. Yeah, at this point, that edge is too bright for me, so I'm darkening that up. Yeah, all right.
Did you use that real long brush yet to do the string? No?
This one.
Yeah.
I can't control it. It's so floppy.
Yeah.
It's
I know, it works really well.
It's really cool. And it's great for like reflection, little zigzags.
Oh, it looks like Mona changed her pictures around.
She changed them all.
She changed them all. Oh, I'm gonna have to do that.
Maybe even have to do
And
that.
Wendy did too.
Wendy did too. Oh, okay.
What your stuff is?
Bill's got the digital photographs right next to you, behind you too.
If they were snakes, they would bite you. They are snakes. They're gonna bite you.
It reminds me of a kaleidoscope.
Yes. That's me on the inside.
I figured. Didn't take long to make the connection.
Yeah. Very colorful.
So I guess there are two lessons in this piece just to take away. One is certainly working with a 3-color palette. It limits how many choices you have, so you don't have to go which blue or whatever because you only got one. And you do get to know those 3 colors really well if you use them in as many combinations as possible. So a 3-color palette is a good one to try, and you do have other triadic groups that you can try yourselves. The other thing is watching how you have to layer things on top of each other with the darks coming in last. Taking the blue and going right into the hulls. And then taking the hulls that are dark and then going right into the reflections. So one area blends into another. There were a few places in here I felt like I was painting a jigsaw puzzle. One little piece here, one little piece there, one little triangle there. And that gets tedious as a painter. I kind of like to let things run and flow together. But there were some hard edges that needed to stay sharp. So I couldn't go too crazy. Yeah, I still might decide that white seems to look a little bright to me now. I look at the screen. I don't want to get rid of all the whites, but the most whites are right down here. So, all right. And as usual, we'll do a critique on Wednesday night, 5 o'clock.
Oh, boy.
Hey, Ned, I'm going to log off. Thank you very much.
That's fine.
I'll talk to you Wednesday.
All right,
Okay, great.
Ned, send around your picture so we can contemplate. How
Okay.
people actually can
Will do.
this. Thank you. Bye.
Thank
See
you.
you on Wednesday.